Hello and welcome to the channel. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4 engines connected to our wing. Today I'm going to be doing the rapid review on the Airbus A340-300, a plane that actually has a history of being supposedly underpowered with the engine variants, the CFMs that we have on here today. This is the LVFR, Latin VFR 340-300. Also noticeable is the center landing gear. That's cool, having an extra pod with a wheel on it. So this aircraft has quite a bit of history. It's a long-haul aircraft, of course, and if I can pull some information straight off the page, the time of this posting in the Flight Simulator Marketplace, it's capable of apparently doing 8,400 miles with a service ceiling of 41,450 feet, and it can do approximately 541 miles per hour. So also worth noting is there's a reason that I'm trying to stay at ground level, because the scale of this aircraft is worth checking out as well. So I'm kind of just trying to do a little bit of role playing here and pretending as if, I'm checking these details out from a ground perspective as you would be able to view the plane. Perhaps if you're walking as a pilot or first officer doing a walk around, and it gives us the opportunity to see the details. This is theoretically, supposedly very high quality textures. They look pretty good. I like them so far. Something to note about the Latin VFR airplanes, they do not claim to be study level. I am a purchaser of the Phoenix version 2.0 Airbus A320. And the Phoenix Simulations version of that is absolutely, with the MCDUs, so on and so forth, it is the quintessential study level aircraft. This does not claim to hold that title, so it may just be the perfect aircraft to get if you're looking for a 4-engine commuter airliner, perhaps. So we're going to check it out for that reason. Now, if you look in here, I'm going to say those might not be what the internals of a CFM look like. They kind of look a little sparse and barren. But to be realistic about the thing, we're literally standing here with, drone camera looking into an airplane that otherwise you would never see, at any point in a flight, realistically. I mean, in looking at some of the jet fuel labels there from a ground perspective, some of the metal work for the engine cells there, real nice. It's got the patina on the winglets you can see with the sun glaring off of it. And we are out here today at Kilo Sierra Foxtrot Oscar San Francisco International Airport. And we're just going to take it out a little bit over the Pacific. I'd like to see what this plane has. I have the LVFR A330. I have heard in the past that there were problems with the maximum range that you could fly that plane, and for a bird like this 4-engine, you would hope that this would actually be capable of extremely long duration flights. Otherwise, besides the 4-engine and the non-study level, it would be the range. That's what I'm looking for. The 4 engines and the range is what I want to help me complete my 4-engine fantasies here. So, as you can see, the wings are really nice looking, and the fuselage seems to be glimmering in the day. You saw the detail on the main gear there, look really nice. There is a whole bunch of different liveries for this aircraft, so chances are if you want to fly a domestic or international air carrier, whoever flies the 340-300 still, it's more than likely on here. And I'm really interested once we check out the patina of this aircraft. Of course, you got a little bit of weathering on the rudder there. You've got the APU exhaust right there. Very nice. This aircraft was right around $30 on the marketplace. So what do you get for your money Well, in a second here, we're going to go inside. I'm just trying to showcase some of the materials and what shines, what has patina, what's got wear. You see a little bit of wear, of course, there under the passenger windows, possibly from rain, so on and so forth. We'll go ahead and we'll check out the windows up here in the front for reflections, of course, and then I'd like to get a look-see at the nose gear there. I'm kind of digging that right off of the bat. Looks like there's fingerprints on the co-pilot's windows there. Pretty cool. Labeling, nice and clear. Warnings, nice and clear. Tire wear, I mean, the textures seem to be pretty appropriate. I like these details here where, you know, the springs, they're not actually looking like 3D model springs. They're pretty much just a solid piece with a little bit of painted black in there to simulate the depth. But again, not study level. Little bit of grime there, of course. Trailing link for the landing gear there. Looks pretty fairly modeled. Not sure if something's going on there with the texture on the left nose wheel, but there's a little bit of, you can see, I don't know if that's shadowing issue or lack of texture. Looks like there's a little bit of lack of texture on that side of the gear. So that and the engines externally, I mean, okay, you know, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. So, welcome to what I presume is either first or business class with the divider in the back. A lot of very similar seats in here, but they are modeled. I mean, the quality here is, you know, if you'd like to browse around on your 7,000-mile flight and just kind of sit in these chairs and look for snacks underneath the seats, they're nice enough quality where you could hang out here and, you know, possibly look out of the window and get your first class ticket without actually having to pay for it in real life. Got some modeling here. Obviously, you know, this is a fly-through camera, so we're not exactly able to open doors in this mode. And you got your more traditional economy. So I guess, yeah, we're looking here at 2 on the outer wings, left and right, plus 3 in the center. Not bad. Different seat patterns, still nice quality. And you've got your 242 configuration. And you can see, obviously, it's quite a large, lengthy aircraft, of course. Now, if you're on this aircraft in one of these seats, man, and you have to sit there for 7,000 nautical miles, yeah, well, not my idea of a good time, but these things do exist. This is actually kind of funny because I am not adjusting the height here. And there's something that I wanted to point out. When I was working for a major airline carrier many moons ago, you notice how we're going, seems like, down towards the floor. That's actually not by coincidence. When I was working at said previous employer for domestic air carrier, we had A330s, and I was a mechanic on the A330. And the one thing I remember about that aircraft is when you stood towards the front, you could look towards the back, and the people in the back were actually sitting higher than the people in the front because the plane is sort of shaped like a banana, at least towards the back, with this upward tail swoop. And if I demonstrate that some more, you're going to notice as we go towards the front of the aircraft that we are indeed seemingly going upward. But no, that's literally how long these aircraft are, that you can almost go on a mountain climb here. So, just a little bit of fun facts there, I guess. 330 must be just like the 340 because very, very similar in that nature. So that's what the cabin has to offer. Textures are reasonable, I would say. Obviously, no passengers in here, but that's okay because we don't need 3, 2, 4, however many passengers, slowing down our frame rates. Anyhow, back to the pilot in command position. So here we go with that. And to start, I digress. So we push that button, and essentially, yeah, that's the cabin door functionality. You can open and close it. We are right here in the jump seat area. Of course, in all these aircraft that are not quote-unquote study level, I like to browse around here because I'm not expecting a whole bunch of click spots, but the more the merrier, of course. Nothing back here. Literally, they're just pictures. It's just a picture. Escape rope, of course, that wouldn't open. So on the Latin VFR 330, it's the same story. A lot of these buttons are not clickable, but some frown, some smile. If you want a quick flight in a 4-engine plane that presumably can go long distances, this might be the ticket. If you're not looking for failures or anything like that and you just want to hop on board and go, maybe this might be the answer. So let's actually get in our seat now and find out how much of this is actually programmed into the MCDU compared to something like, say, a Phoenix. Okay, so I've decided to start inside piloting command with the pilot seat and EFB control. What do we have here? So apparently you can do the sim brief sync with Navigraph, of course, if you have the setup for that. So I've gone ahead and basically dawned on us, say, San Francisco International to Honolulu. Gives us all kind of information. Now, this was pulled directly from the plan that I created on simbrief.com, and it imported all of that. So if I want to sync that, I can sync it with the aircraft for the plan, MCDU. I can sync the payload, and I can sync the necessary fuel. So you notice the hop outside, it gave us as much fuel as I asked, plus the extra overrun fuel. And aside from that, it gives us the identifier of the airport. So we can type in Kilo Sierra Foxtrot Oscar for where we are, and through the Navigraph and the subscription I have, as well as I believe it's $8 a month US currency, it gives us all of the Jeppesen charts, right? This is not a new feature. This is what a lot of EFBs do. So you can see all kinds of taxi information, gate numbers, you can see taxi identifiers for which runways are where, which taxiways are where. It also comes with this version gates. We'll do gates, shows you all of the gates, gives you all kinds of instructions. Let's see what else we have. So that's cool, A380. If you watch the YouTube channel Just Pilots, you'll know that in some of the videos they talk about features like this where all of the green are where A380s can go. And if you were to see something in orange or red, you would know that you would not be able to taxi such a large aircraft on that particular portion of the tarmac. Same thing with the 747-800. So, example, this would not be accessible to a 737-800, which is why I actually did not plan to start from there with this video. So there's all kinds of information that Navigraph can give you, which is really nice to see. Of course, I am curious if it will give us all kinds of different departures. Correct, indeed, it would, as I would expect. So these are all SIDs. You can departure with the Jeppesen chart from SFO to wherever you're going. In our case, if we had a departure per se to Honolulu, we could fly these routes and these headings at the given altitudes in theoretically VNAV, and we could have the auto throttle. And essentially, if this plane's doing what it's supposed to be doing and behaving, we can pick all kinds of different charts. Now, that's not just for the departure, but it's also for the arrivals and the stars, like the approaches and the standard arrival. So it's nice to see. This is a whole another topic in itself, but it's nice to see that that is there and that you can sync these things. And METAR, so let's see if it'll do the METAR for San Francisco. Indeed it does. It gives us the weather, 290 at 11 knots with the wind. It gives us all kinds of other information that I am not going to transcribe with my brain at this late hour, but it gives us the altimeter settings. So it also gives us temperature, and it's nice to see that this is here for a less than quote-unquote study level aircraft. That being said, let's go ahead and work on turning this aircraft on. Be right back. All right, so our attention is drawn now to the overhead where we are going to start up the APU batteries 1 and 2. And let's go ahead and get the APU running. So to do that, we're going to hit the APU master switch on. And let's see if there's an indicator page here that we can click on. There is APU. Okay, fantastic. While we're waiting for that as well, I'm going to turn the IRSs to the on position. I'm not sure if there's a real alignment time with that. I doubt it, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and start the APU up. And once this thing is running, you know, just a simple couple clicks to get this APU power going. We do not have ground power on. Once that's running, go ahead and check out the next steps. Okay, so you can see the APU is available and running with the bleed air valve open. APU generator at 28%, normal EGT. So we're going to explore this MCDU in real time in comparison with, well, maybe nothing else, right? Because I'm going in here and I'm seeing the flight plan here. DIFSRIP, right? That's the acronym for essentially the portion that you want to do first to last while setting up your MCDU. So I went ahead and imported this with the aircraft off, and it automatically took it anyway. I guess that's great. All that's already entered in there, so that's in our best interest. So we'll go to the data, and we were already on the nav with the 3 IRSs, so it's pretty much instantaneous align as far as I can tell. The initialization here, okay, just a little bit different, obviously. I don't know what the cost index is, but for the sake of this video, this is more or less just a review of what's clickable and what isn't. You could go through these pages and set up, you know, your zero fuel weights, your reserves, block fuel 36.4 tons, zero fuel weight. Of course, you know, in something like the Phoenix, you have to set all that up and then set for your flaps takeoff 1 or whatever your performance spec is for that particular takeoff condition. So I'm suspecting that that's not going to be this way. So DIF, flight plan, diff, it knows we're taking off of 001 left, or it thinks we do, because that's what SimBrief told it. So it's nice to see that all of these are pre-programmed in here. Theoretically, we'll VNAV to flight level 380, which is cool. It's updating the time, if you notice that, because we're not moving. So that's always good. And let's go to performance, and then V1. Let's see if we can just click. Yep, we can just click and enter in our V1, V-rotate, and V2 speeds. Flaps 1. Again, I am not an Airbus guru. But this is a plane that is not probably going to complain if you don't get things right. QNH. I don't know what it said, since we're professionals here. Maybe they'll... Yeah, I can't just click on it. So we're not going to enter in all of the performance stuff right now, but when we get ready for takeoff, I'll make sure all of that is in so that you can basically get all that. Of course, that's the approach. So we're literally talking here about like information that could change over time. If we're flying to Honolulu, it's very, very far, obviously, from San Francisco. So it's given us this based off of our flight plan. We didn't have to enter it. We didn't have to wait for IRS alignments, none of that stuff. It literally was just there. It should also be noted that if you look overhead, you can't really turn the packs 1 and 2 off. There's a lot of buttons here that aren't clickable. Engine bleeds are, so you can't control the air conditioning. I noticed you can't control any of the hydraulics here. You can do Obviously, the fuel cross feed, so on and so forth. No fire bottle extinguishers because there's no failures anyways. You can't click this stuff. But if you're going 7,000 feet and you're not looking for any, or excuse me, if you're going 7,000 nautical miles on a flight and you're not looking for any difficulties and you just want to relax while you're watching a television show or whatever it is you do for 7,000 nautical miles in Flight Simulator, this might be the easy way to go. The textures are decent enough, dare I say. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Of course, you can see what you see. And that being said, I'd like to start this up. I do have the Airbus quadrant, and I'm going to have to set up. I have, as I said earlier in the video, I have the 1 and 2 set up. So without the 3 and 4 quadrant here coming tomorrow, I'll have to reassign my 3 and 4 engine control throttle here. That being said, this is almost identical to what the Airbus Thrustmaster quadrant looks like. So 4 throttles, yeah, that would be really cool. I wish this was 1 day later and I could do the whole 4 engine thing. It would be great. But let me go split the 2 sides up appropriately so that I have proper engine control. I'll start it up and I'll be right back. That way you don't have to go through the laborious process of watching this. Be right back. Okay. So, we are taxiing out to the runway, and I did actually set up a couple things here, obviously off camera. I've got my 50-50 split, so I've got the right wing and the left wing for the engines. The reverse thrusters indeed work with a little bit of setting up. Of course, I would have loved to have had the extra 3rd and 4th engine quadrant come by now, but I had no idea that this was releasing so soon. The nice thing about this aircraft is the fact that we are literally up and running. It was very easy. Of course, I made the mistake of trying to start it with the fuel pumps off, so it was nice to see, essentially, that, you know, the aircraft is indeed capable of, you know, knowing the difference between whether the fuel pumps are on to the engines or not. So it's not necessarily the most accurate simulation thing ever, but it's nice that there's a little bit of functionality there. Now, flying this with the left-hand joystick there, as it is on my desk, and having that quadrant there in my right hand makes this a little bit more accurate outside of just the software and DLC itself. You sort of feel like when your hands are on the throttles and you're also manipulating the flap levers, and you've got the detents here, the auto throttle, the flex and the takeoff, as well as the speed brakes and the flap settings. What's nice about that is it adds a level of realism that doesn't necessarily come with an aircraft just through the software alone. So I'll let the engines speak audio-wise for themselves. I'd like to see the auto throttle work. I'd like to press a couple more buttons here, whatever is available. That being said, not really sure what's going on here. I mean, typical traffic. Got aircraft just popping up and out of existence. That's Flight Simulator for you. Let's go look at it, though, at least outside one more time. Pretty nice sounds. They're definitely not default, to my knowledge. I don't know anything default that sounds like that. So let me give myself a couple seconds here. Takeoff, inhibit. Obviously, it's not happy with, you know, the settings that we provided for it. But based off the fact that I am not an Airbus pilot and this is not a study-level aircraft, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's great. We've got our V speeds, so that's fantastic. Trying to do a review on a 4-engine aircraft in a relatively quick time is a challenging task in itself. So we're going to skip the minute details because this is not study level and I don't have the brain power to think like that. It's nice to be able to get into an Airbus, for that matter, that has 4 engines, unlike the Phoenix with the 2 and the version 2.0 Plus that I do have and fly, it is always a lengthy process for me to get that aircraft up into the sky. Is it rewarding? Absolutely. It is good, solid fun. But it's not something you can just get in and go with like this. So if you're in the mood for, you know, an evening flight after work, whatever, something early in the morning, maybe this is more attractive than something that takes half an hour to 40 minutes to set up if you're like me and you don't do it all the time. So let's go ahead and power up the Flex. And we've got them CFM 56s. I'd like to see mostly how this aircraft runs because, like I said, the A340-300 variant this is supposedly notoriously underpowered. We don't have, to my knowledge, well, I'm not sure. It loaded the fuel itself because of the sim brief, and sim brief also I have populated the manifest for the passengers. Based off of the fact that this is a very long aircraft, I'm not going to attempt to over-rotate and strike the tail. But we are off. And I am going to say that's a positive rate, so let's pull the gear up. Auto throttle is armed. And it did say auto, but I pushed right to flex. So, to my knowledge, that is the setting essentially for allowing the engines to do their designated performance that they've calculated on takeoff. Very friendly, it would seem, on the frames per second there, the performance on the PC. For the most part, San Francisco right there, out of the first officer's window. In case you don't want to see that, they do offer shades. So that's nice. I turned some of the instruments up. 2,800 feet, 200 knots. Flaps 1 retract. Of course, we're not flying by the book. This is climbing at, I believe, 3,000 feet a minute. And with that being said, since this is a performance thing that I'm curious about here is, what do we have? 35% fuel, 35% payload. So we are taking off at essentially 441,000 pounds out of 610,000 as a max. Climbing at 2,800 feet per minute. I'm not sure if that's real world or not, but I'm just here to present the information to you. And there you go, Airbus throttles right back to the automatic climb detent. No need to finagle with them, they just fit in right there. I guess the little notch is off a little bit with the climb, but that's okay. So climbing out at 225 knots, 2,000 feet a second, 6,000 feet. Let's go outside and check out some exterior views. Just off the right wingtip there, Golden Gate Bridge. And back inside. So, we've basically got an autopilot to explore. I'm sure that would work. Let's try it. So, autopilot 1, and quite abrupt, but auto throttle essentially working. So it brought us down from the climb. Now nothing's really set. It probably is just leveling us off at the current altitude. So if we were to go take it out of the auto mode and just say like heading. Let's just do like a heading mode real quick and see if we can get that to work. Again, I am not an Airbus pilot, but that being said, it seems to be making the appropriate corrections. Of course, I'm not doing this. If we wanted to go up to 10,000 feet, I suppose we could do like an altitude change. The Phoenix 320 is a little bit more complicated than this, and it's actually kind of funny because playing on the 320, you get used to the complexity and you get used to the button presses. So being here and trying this out is a little bit different. It's complex enough to have fun, but at the same time, it's not study level, of course. So, you know what I would like to do? I would like to turn off this guy, because I absolutely did not ask him to give us the ATIS for half an hour. So, that being said, yeah, peace of mind there. Metric and altitude. So vertical speed. And up and down. Oh, there you go. See, push to level off. So that's essentially what was going on there. Pressing the altitude button, not getting anything to happen. Speed hold. Again, could be operator error. I don't know. It is holding a state of level flight, and the dashes mean that it is in latitudinal, or I think lateral guidance, so we're not V-naving up right now, but it would take me more time. This essentially is just an examination of what are we looking at, what do we have. I would have to explore this more, but I just present things the way they are. Even though I am trying that, I am pressing the altitude. We are at 7,600 feet, and I am trying to go up, but it is not having that. So we'll just leave it at that. Again, it's a 4-engine aircraft. So how does it, aside from the autopilot, how does it actually fly? I mean, it's responsive. I will say when these aircraft are theoretically underpowered for the 300 variant, it's got enough power to perform in the simulator, but it doesn't climb like the space shuttle. So it's not, I don't think, unrealistic. I don't know the performance numbers exactly, but it felt heavy on takeoff, and it still kind of feels heavy. I haven't messed with any of my sensitivities, and the roll rates seem reasonable for a aircraft that's 440,000 pounds. So that being said, I like to line up on final. Take me a little while to get back there and bring this big heavy bird back around town. Once I'm there, I'll go ahead and supercut right to it. Okay, just a very quick note that I'd like to mention as we're lining up on final here. If you see there, I was actually able to rotate the vertical speed indicator, so for the climb out, I'm not sure if it wasn't working due to user error. Again, not Airbus qualified or professional in any way, shape, or form, so it could be my fault. This is a brand new aircraft on a brand new video, and it just literally came out today, so I'm trying to get this review out as quickly as possible. So trying to maintain as much professionalism as possible on a 4-engine aircraft that's 400,000 plus pounds. So that being said, it is what it is. Just take that as a grain of salt. Just like there's 38,000 different airplanes here all landing on top of each other out of the left window here, and I guess it's just a free-for-all at San Fran today. Got an aircraft here that is essentially in our way, but we're going to mad dog that and go right over top of them. There you go. Airbus qualified. Not particularly following the procedures for VREF approach speeds or anything. And it's definitely saying that I am that, as a matter of opinion, possibly fact. Throw in some reverse. And I can feel the weight as well, which is nice to see on the landing. Yours truly is definitely not an airline captain, but that's okay because I want to get you guys at least the visuals out there in case you're thinking about buying this and you're not necessarily looking for a study level aircraft. This might actually get you to your destination in a friendly manner. I think the textures interior wise look cool. If you're not looking for every clickable spot, I don't know. I'll let you be the judge, but $30, the textures look decent enough. The cabin looks decent enough. I suppose the MCDU seems more basic than anything else from what I've discovered on and off camera, especially compared to something that is study level by a different developer. But that being said, if I didn't mention it before, which I think I did, hours getting late and I can't remember, I am in serious consideration of possibly picking up X-Plane 12 and the TOLUS A340-600, which is an even larger version of an aircraft, but that is indeed supposedly one of the coolest Airbus simulations there is on offer. And I would like as well to add the X-Plane 12 armada of aircraft to the channel and my personal stash of fun time. So that being said, I thought it landed pretty good. It was pulling up there on the end by itself, so I don't know if that's Airbus law, literally trying to help me save myself from disaster. I'm not sure, but it did seemingly try to help me. And how do I feel it taxis? I mean, I don't know. I honestly can feel the weight here. I do feel the weight. So it's nice to experience that. Yes, $30 for for a non-study level aircraft. Maybe it's a lot. Maybe it's not. I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. I just present the product to you all and then leave it up to you to decide. You've seen it. You've heard it. I do like the sounds. I do like the sounds, that's for sure. Flaps. Animation seems smooth, right? So it's good enough for me, but the real question is, in Viewerland, is it good enough for you? I'll let you be the judge of that. For now, this was the Airbus review, and I pray that you enjoyed your time here checking out the product in San Francisco. And until the next review, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.